Hello, everyone. Hello, beautiful children. So we have our tutor here, Mr. Emmanuel, is going to be taking us on the um second class for coding and programming. So we're beginning in a very short while. I think it's about sharing the screen. So let's celebrate our tutor, Mr. Emma, as he takes the class from here. I hope you've done your assignments and your tasks because from this class you're going to be doing another task as well. And on the group, we dropped the our official email for you to drop your assignments and your test given to you from all of the classes. So I think that'll be all for now. Thank you so much. Mr. Emma, over to you.
All right, thank you very much. Good day, everybody, once again. So we will be continuing from where we stopped on Saturday. We will do a little recap before we proceed. In our last class, we talked about what a hardware is, what is a software. We talked about a computer in general. So today we will do a recap on that, then proceed. So first things first, we are going to find out once more what a hardware and a software is. Then we proceed. So a hardware is the body of the computer. And this, as we said in our last class, this also involves everything that you can see and touch concerning that computer. So your screen, the mouse, the keyboard, everything inside the computer, that all falls under the category of the hardware. Now the software, this we can categorize this, or we can say this is the mind of the computer. This gives instructions telling the hardware what to do, and then the hardware follows along with that instruction. So example of softwares, we can say these are games, applications that we make use of in our everyday tasks like Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, and our browsers like Google Chrome. Those all fall under the software category. Now, how do these two components, these two different components communicate with one another? So like we said before, we have your hardware, you have your software. These two come together to work like a team. So there is a communication, or there is talking going on between them. The same way your brain and your body communicate. So the software tells the hardware, do this. The hardware follows that order and makes it happen. But for this communication to happen, there should be a middleman. There is something in the middle that helps this communication happen. And this middleman is referred to as the operating system. This is what allows your software, whatsoever it may be, to give your hardware order. So we can say, or we can simplify the operating system to be a sort of like, in this case, let's call the operating system an errand boy. The software gives a command, the operating system takes the command and throws it over to the hardware, and then everybody performs their task in accurate time. Now, without the operating system, the hardware and software would be disconnected. There would not be that communication. It would be like speaking two different languages. The same way you would have someone who speaks English and someone who speaks French. If there is no translator, or if there's no one to translate in between, there would be zero communication. Now, how does this communication, or how does this talking go on, or how does it happen? So the software, as we said, sends a command or the signal, for instance, says, show this picture. Now the signal is sent to the hardware, in this case, the screen. The hardware receives this signal using electricity and tiny circuits, tiny different connections, different wires going on in that are present in your computer. And this is how the command is carried out. Now, this happens so fast in the blink of an eye. So if you were to calculate the actual speed in which this happens, you would divide you would probably divide the time between a second into probably 1,000 parts. And the time it takes to carry out this second would be just one one portion out of that 10,000 or that 1,000 parts of a second you have divided. So you see the speed in which this is carried out is extremely fast. Now we go into how we save data or how computers remember the information we give to them. So computers store data in memory. And in this case, we would say memory is like a large cupboard or a large box filled with the data we want to store. Now, each box or a giant cupboard holding smaller boxes, and each of these smaller boxes holds bits and pieces of the data or information we have stored. Now, the data is stored in tiny codes or tiny parts that are called bits. Now, these bits can be said to be ones and zeros or are known to be ones and zeros. These bits, they go from 1 bit to 8 bits, which makes up a byte, and so on and so forth. Now, these bits are all like computer's alphabets, the same way you would have ABC in the English language. The bits make up the alphabet for the computer. This is the language the computer understands. And where does data live? Um, the lifespan or the life cycle of data can be broken down into two major parts. We have the short-term data and we have the long-term data. Short-term data is stored in something called a RAM, random access memory. Now, this is fast, but it is forgetful, being that whatsoever is stored on the RAM is only saved there for as long as the computer remains on. As soon as the computer goes off, everything is forgotten. Then we have the long-term storage or the long-term memory. Now, this involves hard drives, solid state drives, SSDs, flash drives, or atom drives, and so on. Now, this, as it states, long-term memory stores data even when there is power loss. So even if your device goes off and comes back on, whatever data is stored in there remains intact. Why does it matter? Now, software and hardware works as a team to make a computer useful. Storage helps them remember your games, your pictures, and your homework. Now, this is how every computer helps, or this is how every computer is useful in our everyday life. You have your software that gives the command, you have your hardware that carries out the command, then you have your storage that remembers commands given or data saved. Then conclusion, computers are like a team. The hardware is the body, just like the human being. The hardware is the body, the software is the mind or the brain, the mind. Now the memory is the storage, or the storage is the memory. Now they work together to perform amazing tasks, accomplish amazing things, from showing videos, watching movies on your phones or laptops, to playing games, to reading books, to making use of other everyday applications that we need in our lives. Now, every time you click, every time you type, every time you hit play, you are making this team work because there is a command given. When you type, when you hit on the alphabet A on your keyboard, there is an action given, and this action is transmitted to the hardware, and the memory holds it until it is needed once again. And the best part is they all do this at breakneck speed. In the blink of an eye, the command is carried out. Before you could say go, the action has already been completed. Now, this sums up the explanation of what a hardware, a software is, and what a memory is. So for the assignment or for your assignment after this class, I would want us or I would want you to go home and to carry out a research that explains all of this and more. Let's say bring up a diagram that states or that clearly depicts how this goes on. And we will end this class for today. We'll meet again in our next class where we will dive in deeper into the whole programming aspect of things, how the software end is put together. So at this point, I bid you all adieu. We'll meet in our next class. Thank you very much.
Okay, Mr. Emmanuel, thank you
All
so
right.
much for the class. Mr. Morris, are you there?
No, no, go ahead, sir.
Okay, thank you very much for the class. So it was quite insightful, and of all you said, I could just draw a skeleton in my mind and relating it that the body is the hardware, the software is the mind, and then the storage is the memory. Thank you so much for making this very simple for us to understand. And I don't know if
All
Mr.
right.
Morris
Thank you
has
very
anything
much.
to add to that.
No, we are fine. We're fine until we get to see the children get to do the assignments and all. I think one of the parents called me today for um for programming your class said that needed a way to submit the assignments where they're going to submit it to so that's why I made that announcement in the morning when I started rather. We sent our official emails to them. So when the assignments comes in, then we forward it to all the tutors that needs to see them. So I think that's all. Thank you so much, sir. So thank you everyone. Thank you so much. Don't forget to attend the class again. I think your next class is on Saturday, right? On Saturday. Then there's
Yes.
another program. There's another coding class that does with web development where Mr. Um, Mr. David will take us on that class as well. So I think the next class will be tomorrow, or Wednesday. I think it's tomorrow. So thank you so much, everyone. We'll see our next programming class. Have a wonderful day ahead.